Westworld season 4 wrapped up a few weeks back. We're just getting to it now, as anyone that's listened to the program for our Westworld takes in the past knows. Not the biggest Westworld fan, so season 4, we did our episode 1 and season 4 preview. Um, I was not optimistic for this season. I thought it was going to continue going in a direction that I just could not comprehend. And they actually surprised me because I found myself by the end of the season feeling like I understood a bit more what was going on. I thought they simplified things enough where I was like, this is a lot easier to follow and to enjoy. And I think instead of it being like it, keeping this mystery of who's against who, who's on what team, who's trying to accomplish what, they really distilled it down to like three different factions, and
Mhm.
that made it so much better to follow, in my opinion. So, and I think giving us more Tessa Thompson really elevated the season as well. So they made some really good choices to try to save Westworld. Now we'll talk about if they were able to do that at the end of the review. What was your just general take of season 4?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely surprised me. Probably the second best Westworld season after the first one. I'd
Yeah.
have to think. League's better than season 3, which I completely lost both of us. But yeah, I think making it much more coherent also really benefits the dramatic stakes that have been very uneven throughout the run of Westworld. Inevitably, when you have these hosts that can be healed, repaired, come back to life, it's hard to invest in the immediate danger that they often encounter because they can just bounce back. And they still do that on this, but I think it's at least a bit more convincing, a bit more dramatic. And that whole host versus human conflict, I think, was a lot more, a lot simpler to grasp and therefore invest in. Still a flawed show, still a show that had some subplots I didn't care for, but I thought it was much more convincing as kind of being that more openly science fiction series that it had transitioned to in season 3. And I think it actually kind of ends in a solid place if it wasn't renewed for season 5. It has not yet actually been renewed for season 5, 2 weeks after the season 4 finale. So I guess that's TBD there. New management at HBO. Maybe they want to cut some costs and look at the Westworld ratings. I don't know, but there's probably a reason we haven't heard anything yet. We'll find out.
Mhm.
But it actually kind of ends, I think, in a solid way. It's. Do I think Westworld's super profound? No, I don't. But I was at least a lot more entertained with this one. I think that's just because, like you said, some of those core storylines are just easier to get into. And Tessa Thompson, just with the hard carry this season, like
Yeah.
really, I think convincingly doing a great job. And
Putting the team on her back.
yeah, I think my favorite stuff though was early on the uh, Maeve, Caleb, Tandy Newton, Aaron Paul stuff early on. I really liked that through like with the season 4 reveal where we have these two timelines and Maeve gets killed and then we see her get dug up in the future out of the sand. I was like, oh wow, this is actually pretty fun. This is pretty good. I liked that a lot. Everything with Tessa was great. It was actually kind of fun to see two Ed Harrises, host Ed Harris and normal James Delos, trapped. He's not
Yep.
actually dead. Could have fooled me. I thought he died at the end of season 3. Whatever.
Who knew? Yeah, I actually to your point, and I believe it's episode 4, Generation Loss, where Maeve and Caleb are trying to take down Ed Harris and Tessa Thompson, Charlotte and no. Who's
Oh,
that? The Men in Black is
James Delos,
yeah, Delos, thank you.
right?
Yep. And basically it gets to this point where you find out it's just a simulation, and Caleb finds out that he's a host. He's been a host. They've run the simulation like hundreds of times. It always kind of goes this way. And I thought that episode, because it also brings together the two timelines like you talked about with Bernard and Caleb's daughter C. I thought that was maybe the episode of the season. Not only incredible set pieces and incredible like chase episode and like just like James Bond-esque setup, but the like reveal of Caleb actually having died in the past, and
Hmm.
him being a host now, I thought was really effective.
Yeah.
And obviously I thought the relationship between him and Maeve, like that friendship, was really one of the highlights of the season for me, character wise. So I thought that was definitely one of the best episodes they've had since season one. And yeah, I think a lot of the early stuff, although I did like the penultimate episode a lot, where like they're trying to like infiltrate Charlotte's like lab, and
Right.
Bernard's setting up some plan and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty well done too.
Right. Let me correct that too. The Men in Black, Ed Harris, is actually William, not
William, you're
James
right.
Delos. James
Thank you.
Delos was Peter Mulan's character from that like one flashback episode. Yes. So was Tessa still Charlotte Hale, or wasn't she just Dolores now? Like, kind of confused. Like she
Dave.
used to be Charlotte Hale, but isn't Charlotte Hale dead? I don't know.
I know that at the end of the season, um, they she was calling her Hal. That
Right. Right.
what what's her name? Why can't I think of her name? You just said it. Evan Rachel Wood's character is calling her
Yeah.
Hale. So
Dolores. Yeah.
yeah, Dolores is calling. So I figured she was still her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
But that's the thing. I actually thought it was still compelling enough, and entertaining enough that I didn't have to really worry about like if I knew some of those details, I could just kind of roll with it. Um, the stuff I didn't like was really everything with like Dolores Prime with Evan Rachel Wood. Like you kind of see where that's going. I think a few episodes before it's fully revealed, but like everything with her reality, and then you have James Marsden coming back as Teddy. Like all of that just felt like a waste of time, like spinning of the wheels before she inevitably, you know, gets comes back to prominence in the finale. And I feel like more than anything, it's like they just kind of need something to do for Evan Rachel Wood because she's on the show and part of the cast. And it's like, well, her character is effectively going to be serviced in its villain form by Tessa Thompson. So what do we use Evan Rachel Wood for? So they just kind
Mhm.
of had her do this thing, regaining her memory, which apparently was her own plan, whole plan all along, which is whatever. But like, it's just kind of dull, compared to like being with Caleb and Maeve, or watching Ed Harris go to the golf course and hit lots of hole in ones, whatever it was.
Yeah, and man, what a waste of it. Ariana DeBose, huh? Like
Oh yeah,
just playing her friend who pops up here and there in some episodes, and yeah, I thought that was just puzzling, puzzling use of her. You know, another character that was just totally wasted, and I don't think the show's ever figured out how to really use her, is Angela Seraphine's Clementine.
oh yeah.
I
I have
mean,
no
like,
idea what's going on with Clementine.
she just like pops up every once in a while, and she's like either like maybe bad or maybe good, and like you
Yeah,
never know. And at the
she
end
was
of the
pretty clearly
season,
bad this time, but like
I
I
guess,
just still like she's just kind of there.
yeah, and, like even at the end of the season, like obviously she's bad and she's trying to kill Caleb, but I like
Yeah,
wasn't even fully sure of her motivation. She's just like a henchman at this point.
yeah.
I don't know.
Kills Stubbs, right?
Did she kill Stubbs? Yeah, I
Luke
think so.
Hemsworth.
Yeah. And
But like,
also another character that's just kind of
yeah,
there.
he's just there.
Yeah.
But like, kills in quotes. Like we see Bernard, we see Jeffrey Wright get domed, we see Tessa Thompson get domed, and then we watch her come back to life in the next episode. Like there still are no stakes at all, especially when the one human character left, Caleb, actually turns out he's a host now too. It's like
I
you
know.
just kind of have to go with it. Like are there any humans left that we know? Because Charlotte Hale's dead. Original Man in Black William is now dead, and
I don't
Caleb we learned is dead too. Like,
Oh, his daughter, right?
oh, his daughter, yes, new character this season. Yes, that's about it.
Um
Whatever, I don't
yeah.
care. It's
I
just
don't really care either. Yeah, I do feel like it left off in a place where it could be a series finale. Do you think they'll pick it back up? The ratings really dipped this season.
if they do, I think they pick it up for one final season. But
Yeah.
it is kind of there's something about the show that even though I haven't liked it more often than not, it just kind of has been fascinating to watch and think about through its many iterations, and just it's just kind of like a beautiful mess half the time, despite a wealth of talent on the screen and behind it. It's just like, huh, what is going on with this? But on its face, it's very funny just to reflect on how far Westworld has come since 2016 when we watched season one. It's just so much more different.
Hmm.
And At least I think they found themselves in these huge changes, partially through simplifying it, but also I think just making it just a bit more dramatic through that simplification. So if it doesn't come back for season 5, I don't think I won't cry over that spilled milk or anything, but I would be curious to see how they would wrap it up with one more season.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of these characters would actually come back. Because at this point, I mean, like you said, is anyone actually dead on this show? But at the end of the season, you see Charlotte Hale or the host take the mind out and crush it, right? So, I mean, Evan Rachel Wood is there. Everyone else, I think, is gone except for C. So, is it going to be like a C versus Dolores type deal? Like, I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, did we not see a new version of Maeve this year? But like her host brain is new, right? It's like a new version, but like
Right.
it's still the same actor to the
Yeah.
viewer, and more or less feels like the same person.
Hmm.
So even if they're not technically resurrected, it feels like they are. So I would assume that we would see some familiar faces via that manner if there was another season.
Well, Westworld, drop us your thoughts. I hope it gets a final season. I hope it gets to wrap up the way that it intends to. But we'll see if that happens. Let us know if you enjoyed it or not.